So I was playing in a 4-day TFT tournament where you could get knocked out every single day, and we had a miracle run to start off the first day, but the second day would not be any easier because people who did well in the first day got bonus points going into the next round. With 64 players left, we needed to score into the top 32 in order to make it onto the next week. Because people had bonus points, we needed 29 points in 6 games in order to make it through. In other words, we needed to average a 4.166 in order to make it. For all the data checkers out there, this is actually a very high score because if you ever see an augment that averages 4.16, you pretty much automatically take it. Same for comps. A lot of times when we identify good comps based on the data, average of 4.16 is extremely good, so this is no easy feat, especially since we're facing stronger opponents as well. The funny part about this tournament was that remember how I said I wasn't that great at the one-cost reroll strategies? Well, coincidentally enough, the first 4 games we had started off with all 1/1/1 hero augments on stage 2-1, which I think is absolutely insane. If you do the math, that happens 0.1% of times. But let's hop into the first game. Our carousel strategy is the same. We try to go for uncontested, but we end up with a sword because we end up missing our first item. Sword starts are not my strong suit because these are mainly for laser core and for other AD comps, which I'm honestly not that practiced on. As you guys saw yesterday, laser core is probably my worst comp. We get a chain vest and a tier off the neutral rounds, and we have a gangplank pair with an Ashe. At the end, we get 6 gold worth of units, but I end up not really picking anything up in my shop. Now the journey begins, the famous 1/1/1 hero augment selection. So the ones you want to go for, as we talked about before, Illuminating Singularity is good, but we don't have any Luxes. Renekton's Rain of Anger good, we don't have any Renektons. Poppy really good, we don't have any Poppies. So it's a bit of a gamble. Probably here we should have went for Flaming Ricochet since we do have some Gangplanks, but you always have to scout to make sure you are not contested. One other person took the support Gangplank augment, but another person has 3 Gangplanks on his board already, so he's probably fishing for it. We end up taking Illuminating Singularity, which I think is a small mistake because we do not have any Luxes. Nevertheless, whenever you're playing one-cost reroll, you always want to try to not level early on. This is because you have higher odds of hitting one-cost units whenever you are lower level. So now you might be asking, how do I play the Lux reroll comp? Well, you pretty much play it the same exact way you would play Talia reroll, except instead of putting the items on Talia, you put them on Lux. There's also a second version of it where you can run reroll defenders with it, such as Poppy and Rel. So mistake number 1 already, I should have made interest. We end up buying this Ashe and Gangplank, but I should have sold them last turn in order to make 10 gold. Whenever you're playing a reroll comp, you always just care about hitting your 3-cost reroll of the unit you want, and this Ashe and Gangplank just are not part of the game plan at all. So this is a pretty major mistake, maybe not like a game-losing mistake, but it's definitely bigger than a small mistake. Let's put it kind of in the medium. Essentially, I missed out on 2 gold because I kept these units. We finally end up making 10 gold, but here we could possibly be at 12. We could have even sold the gadgetines that we had and possibly made 20 this turn, so we actually lost out on more than 3 gold because we'd probably miss interest later on as well. Not the end of the world, but when you need to get pretty much every placement you can get, things like these definitely add up. We end up going for a tier on the carousel, so back to how to play the comp. If you have 3-star Guardian, you want to Spear Shojin, but if you have 5-star Guardian, you want to play with the blue buff. 5-star Guardian with the blue buff is a higher cap board, but you can't always get it. You can do the math yourself, but essentially, Shojin with 5-star Guardian doesn't really increase your cast time that much compared to the blue buff, and pretty much Pakigam just did the math, and that's what he told me. I didn't double check the math, but he is like a math teacher and everything, and he does all this more advanced stuff, so it's I'm just gonna trust him on this. But if someone is thinks he's wrong, you could go ahead and prove it in the comments, because I am kind of just blindly trusting him. Since we're at 27 gold here before we bought the Alistair, you could already see the pain we had of missing out on that 3 gold from before. Luckily, we don't get our lose streak messed up on stage 2-5 because we end up winning the last 2 rounds, which means that econ-wise, we're not doing too horribly. We get a rod and 1 more component from the Krugs, and we instantly slam the Gunblade because that's just going to be her best item. After the mana item, it is Gunblade, then some sort of damage amplification, such as a Giant Slayer or Guardbreaker. We rolled once to hit the Lux too, but I have heard that you probably could roll down to 30 here. I normally only roll down to 30 if I have a lot of copies of the unit. If I have none, I typically slow roll at level 5, but everyone has their different opinions on this. For me personally, I'd say if you have like 5 copies, I'd roll down to 30 and potentially 0 if you hit even more. But if you have only like less than 3 copies, I find it a little risky to roll down to 30. This is again why I probably should not have played the comp. I had 0 luxes at the start of the game, and yeah, it is possible to just hit, but more often than not, it is a little risky. These augments are not the best choice, so Sunfire Board is takeable, Double Trouble, not that great in this comp, and then Portable Forge, it's only useful if I get a very good item, such as Mana Zane, but because I already have blue buff, Mana Zane is kind of redundant. Because we have the Chain Vest on our Annie, I end up not taking the Sunfire Cape, but I think I should have reforged here. I also end up taking Rocket Propelled Fist because with the bow, I'm probably building the Giant Slayer as we talked about before. So I panic picked the Rocket Propelled Fist. So this is where I'm like, okay, this game is not looking that hot, you know? But I guess it is what it is. For sure, I should have rerolled the Augment, but at least we get a couple more copies of Lux here during this roll down. We get one here, we roll down a bit, and then we get another copy down to 50. We're essentially just going to slow roll until we hit. On the carousel, we get our belt, so we get our Sunfire Cape. But as long as we get 3 items on our Lux and a Lux 3, probably by like stage 4-1, we should be in good shape. We end up going 1-1 in the last 2 rounds of stage 3. We get a Chain Vest, a lot of gold, a Nikos, a bow, and we also get a Spatula. So a little bit of weird stuff because we don't need that many bows. Spatula doesn't really help either. But now we want to roll in for our Lux. So we get one there, roll down to 50. You probably want to roll until you hit at this point. And then I make another crucial mistake because I forget to use my Nikos Help or Champion Duplicator. I don't know if it's I didn't realize I got one or something like that, but if I just used it here, because we're not looking for any other 3 stars, I would have saved myself around like 30 gold or something like that, 20 to 30 gold. So if you combine this mistake with the one we made in the early game, I'm probably just down like 50 gold this game compared to like had I played better, you know? Like that's a pretty big difference. And here we're probably forced to slam the Titan's Resolve because we just have to eat up these bows. And this spot is not that great. Like, yeah, we do have the Lux 3 at 4-1, which is what I wanted. We don't have much gold to get to level 7 because we really need to play more units. And we don't have an actual damage item on our Lux yet. We just have a mana and a healing item, which again, like you do need them, but you also need the 3rd damage item, especially if you don't have traits active. Here we get 3 gold augment options. Exile's probably not bad, but I end up re-rolling, I think, because I was feeling a little greedy. We end up getting Spellslinger, which is probably what we wanted. Either Star Guardian or Spellslinger would have done fine. So we just pick that up and move on with our day. On this carousel, I end up going for the Static Shiv, but I really think I should have went for the Giant Slayer. Yeah, you do need the magic resist shredding from either Shiv or Ionic Spark, but the way Lux works is that she targets randomly, so she often targets the backline, so you don't need it as much as just having a 3rd damage item on her. So that's a pretty big mistake there. Also, we don't have the best holder of a Static Shiv, we just drop it on our Sona. And we could have just used the bow the same exact way by grabbing a sword. So that's just like a pretty big mistake. We end up losing some of these rounds. This guy has Soraka 2 already. And the game's looking horrible already. We're at 17 life. We pretty much hit our board already, so we're not going to get that much stronger. I guess like getting a Talia 2 with like 2 damage items is the only way we actually get stronger, but that seems like a stretch at this moment in time. We face off against this Bel'Veth, and look, the Bel'Veth lives with like 1 HP, luckily dies to the Static Shiv, but if we just have just an ounce more damage on her, this would not be an issue. We get really unlucky here. We don't get a single buildable item off the dragon, and because of that, we just have a 2-item Lux, and yeah, that's puts a nail in the coffin in this game. We level up to 8, add in 4 Spellslinger, I guess, and we're just praying at this point. Also, look at the Nikos Help on our bench. It's just completely useless, you know, like, was I saving it for Talia? I think I just forgot it exists. I'm not really too sure. I don't remember what happened in game, but we're luckily able to beat this person who is also at really low life total. So we guarantee ourselves not 8th, and then someone else ends up dying as well, so we get at least 6. In our next fight, we face someone with a Talia 2 and a Sona 3. So he is pretty much just our board, but a lot stronger. So we end up taking a 17 unit loss here, or a 17 HP loss, and then that secures our placement for this game. Really wild stuff, like a lot of mistakes. We should have had 50 extra gold this game, and we just did not have that. Again, it's just inexperience with rerolling. Hopefully, I'm prepared for this for next week because, again, we have 3 more 1-1-1 hero cost augment games. In game number 2, you will not find a single person who has played the comp I'm about to play before. Mordog would be proud because I also take a low data augment. We do the same rod start strategy, except we actually get it this time. And then in this next shop, we see a bunch of 1-cost units that we kind of care about. Defenders are pretty decent, so I should probably just pick those up. Next round, we see a Wukong 2. And we have the option of picking up Fiora 2, which I do end up doing. Now comes the fun part. So I see Re-Energize, Petricite Chains, and Rocket Grab. All these are not really good. The only takeable one is the middle one, but we don't have anyone with Anima Squad except for Jinx. And then here's where things get spicy. So Cyclone is the second worst performing 1-cost reroll augment, but Pokegom told me this is takeable. So I'm trusting him. I'm just going to grab it. We do get pretty unlucky this game, which you'll see in just a moment. We scout around, and I did not think to check to see if people were going AP or AD. Obviously, Wukong is very good against AD comps, but in this specific game, even though Samira is the best comp right now, we had 6.5 AP players this game, which makes this Wukong augment a little useless because you normally play Wukong with 4 defender, and that's just not going to be viable in this specific game. So I guess I should have taken extra time to do more due diligence before picking the augment. But my issue is I always run out of time on these turns, and then I end up having to rush or forget to level up or not level up. And that just really costs me a lot of games. So I always try to pick my augment as fast as I can and focus on everything else later. But I should, in the future, give more time for scouting. I do try to make more interest this game, which is good. But what we should be thinking about is how to get creative with our comp. What should we play instead of the 4 defenders? Normally you play Wukong, Rel, Poppy, and then a set. But in this game, that's not really an option. So what are the options? For one, you could try a Draven reroll to complement the Wukong. Another option is Supers. However, Supers' issue is that in a 1-1-1, a lot of other people might be rerolling, so they want the Supers as well. So sometimes it's just not in the cards. Also, spoiler alert, we do not end up getting a lot of Dravens, so what would we end up doing? Well, I guess you guys have to find out in a little bit. So items for Wukong, we have the Ionic Spark already. Not the best item, but it's definitely slammable. We do want some form of healing on him. We do get a sword from these Krugs, so that could be either BT or Hextech Gunblade. We get another tier, so that's potentially blue buff for someone, but there's not really anyone who uses blue buff that well in this comp. I guess if I was rerolling Lulu and Wukong and Poppy, then it would make some sort of sense. But we're not doing that this game because, do you guys see any Lulus on my board? Also, other people are rerolling Lulu as well. But we have 6 copies of Wukong. Really, really nice. We're going to do the roll down to 30 thing right here. We're also going to slam the Hextech Gunblade. We do see 1 Draven, but that's going to kind of be it. After hitting this next one, you could potentially roll down to 10. Very, very possible. It kind of depends on what your HP is and maybe how strong you are. Sometimes you need it right away, sometimes you don't. It's really going to depend on game to game. But we do put in both the Wukongs here. I'm not going to end up keeping the Poppies. I do want to make some gold here. You could play Rel in the meantime because we do want a Rel 2 or something. In the early game, even though people are playing a lot of AP, people do auto attack a lot in the early game, so it's fine to have extra defenders. What else can I possibly run? Not that much, right? So if we do end up getting a random 4 defender at the start, it's not the end of the world or anything. It's just really bad late game if no one's playing AD. These next options here are pretty interesting. Featherweights would normally be good. However, the only 1 and 2 cost unit I'm probably going to run is going to be the Wukong and the Draven. But the Draven transforms into the mech. So do I really want the Draven to be buffed up? Not really. So since I'm really only playing Wukong as a buffer for featherweights, I don't really think that's a choice here. Trade sector, we're already so close to Wukong 3, we don't need that. Sunfire board, it is possible, but it's kind of like a mediocre augment. Maybe we could roll for something. Maybe you could just take the Sunfire. I'd say it's probably about the same. It depends on how lucky you are. We end up re-rolling though, and then I go for the component grab bag because I guess Exiles could have been taken. But with these 2 tiers, maybe I wanted something else. Actually thinking back on it, we probably did not want the component grab bag. I know we got complete garbage here, but that's not the point I'm making. The reason why I think component grab bag is garbage is because when you play mech, items are very important, but they're only important on your mech. Also, I make a mistake here. I forgot I had Ionic Spark, so I build an extra static shiv for fun on a rel. The big no-no there, but you know, it happens. But what I'm trying to say is some comps really make use of having a lot of items. I think like the AP comps really benefit from that. I think like if you have spatulas in a Viego build, you could use a lot of items. But in a mech build, you really only care about the mech items. Nothing else really matters. So therefore, component grab bag, probably not the best thing. Something like Radiant Relics would be really good. Something like Ornn Armory would be pretty good for Wukong, but that's just because they're extra buffed up items for him. We do end up hitting the Wukong 3 on stage 3-3, very, very nice, but you have to keep in mind we did start the game with 4 Wukong, so it's pretty standard stuff. I only took it because we did have a lot of copies of him. Compare this to the Lux game where we only had 1 copy of her, so we're literally like a third of the way there faster than like we were last game. So it does make sense that we hit it on 3-3. I wouldn't consider it like a turbo high roll. Like obviously it's really good still. Like I would love this, but it's not like I naturaled him without rolling, you know, like we are at 17 gold at the end of the day. But maybe we could have held off on the level up. So here's where I get a little worried. For some reason, like I'm doing 0 damage to this guy and his LeBlanc 2 board just beats me. And now I'm just like, uh-oh, did I just take the wrong augment or something? Keep in mind, we're also down an augment from the component grab bag because we really did not get anything useful from that. But we're just going to try to go for either the hat or the spell crit here on the Wukong and kind of just pray after that. Unlucky because 2 people took rods. And thank God that guy did not take the glove because we really just need 3 items on our mech Wukong. Items are just so strong on mech units because they just have a lot of health. So you're essentially putting 3 champions into 1. That's why it's so important to have like best in slots on them. We are going to play this Bel'Veth. We're going to slam the static shiv on her. And then I probably should have built the blue buff. I forgot blue buff is usable on Bel'Veth. I probably should really play more AD comps, so just I like learned them more in preparation for next week. But we're facing off against a Talon 3, so he hit as well. He also has level 6, 50 gold, so if you want to compare my spot to his spot, his is obviously a lot better, right? So I don't really think that's fair, but you know, it is what it is. He also has like good items on him too, so it's not like he's lacking in any department. Luckily, we're able to beat him, but I would much rather lose this round and have 30 more gold than win the round and have 30 less. Wolfcamp decides to troll us. It gives us another tier. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 tiers this game. That's really, really not fair, you know. I really should have just jammed the blue buff, but I end up building a Protector's Vow and then just holding the tiers. I really just forgot that blue buff was even a thing on Bel'Veth, and that's my fault, you know. Like I probably should have just had that slammed from the start. But let's roll down a little bit. We get the Rammus Tooth to throw in, and what are we even playing right now? We're just playing like Wukong reroll, I guess, with threats or something like that. Honestly, I have no idea what is even going on. We're facing a Kai'Sa reroller. Kai'Sa should be good against our comp because she's able to stack up the Rage Blade. Wukong takes a while to get through everyone, but he doesn't have Kai'Sa 3 yet, so I think we do have like an okay chance of winning this. But it looks like he's going to clean it up because, yeah, once Kai'Sa gets those Rage Blade stacks up, this guy also has ZZ Rot. My Wukong didn't get the best AoEs. He's able to kind of finish us off. And do we kill the Ashe? We do end up killing the Ashe, but this person's still able to beat us, and he's not even capped yet. On this next augment, we get something that's probably pretty good. We get the Mecha Prime Crown. Honestly, Mecha Prime Crown, I think, is another one of those like worst performing augments. And yeah, I'm looking at the data now. It averages a 5.17. The Wukong reroll averages a 4.89. It's the second worst one-cost augment. Mecha Prime is the worst prismatic augment. So I'm literally taking 2 of the worst augments in the game. So it's a little worrisome at this moment. However, just because something is bad in the data doesn't mean that it is bad in every single spot. And in this specific case, I really think it was the best option to choose from. We end up Mecha Priming the Bel'Veth just to give her stats for 5 Mecha Prime, and then we jammed the Bloodthirster that we got onto her as well. Imagine if this was the old patch and we get a Titan's Resolve. That would be probably a little bit better. There's only so much you can do. What's crazy to me is that this Bel'Veth is just absolutely bonkers. It's a 1-star Bel'Veth, and like I talked about this as I was playing the game. I just listened to the audio for it, but like I get it, Wukong is the primary carry, but you can't tell me that this Bel'Veth is not slapping at 1-star with like just these random chop suey of items, and it's just like, Holy cow. Like, look at the damage charts. That's a 1-star Belveth. Imagine if she's 2-star. In fact, our team is doing so solidly that we are last pick on the carousel, which obviously I don't want to be. Like, I guess the health is good, but I would have preferred to get a little higher pick on the carousel. We end up going for defensive item because I think we want to itemize our set at this point. Would have preferred the redemption, but we get the vow, so we're going to have 2 vows on our Rammus for some reason. This person's Silas 3, so a lot of 1-cost rerolls these games. I forget who actually wins this fight, but our Rammus casts pretty much at the start of the fight. It's really funny, the double vow build. He gets this giant shield. I don't even know if it's good or not, but we have it. You know, we have too many tiers, so I don't think we really had a choice. We barely don't kill the Silas, or do we? We barely don't. How is he not dead? Someone tell me how the Silas is still alive. I feel like we should have won this round now that I look at it again. Like, that's actually ridiculous. On to the next item selection. We go for Declaw for our set, and we get pretty good items. We do get the Redemption Declaw, so I guess the tiers ended up working out. Not really, but we'll pretend it did. We'll level up, throw in an Echo. We want to try to get like Aegis in or something, you know, maybe like the Zac or Aesol is better. We ended up running like a random Vel'Koz for 1 turn, but getting a Belveth 2 would probably be pretty good. There's a set 2 I should sell for that. And at this point, our team's not looking like that bad. We end up winning the first 3 fights of stage 5. And honestly, I know you guys want to see these fights because the comp is interesting, but the boards I face, they're just like not that great. So I'm not even like proud of beating them, you know. We get the Leona with the Bramble, pretty nice. We also end up playing her. So we probably do need Aegis. I should probably replace this Draven. But the thing is, if I were to play 5 Mecha Prime, who would you eat up into the Wukong? I don't want to eat up Belveth. That's like my secondary carry. I don't want to eat up Leona because she's a good unit. And I don't want to eat up my set because he's like my secondary tank. So I end up just leaving the Draven in, and we're just 6 Mecha Prime threats, I guess. Like, but if anyone has any better ideas of like what to eat up on the mech, other than Jax and Draven, like, do let me know down in the comments, because I'm pretty sure you just play 6 Mecha Prime here. Like, I wish I was kidding and everything, but it's honestly not bad. Like, the extra Leona, she gets like all the bonus stats from like having 5 Mecha Prime or whatever, so it's like, it's not like the end of the world, right? We do end up losing to this guy, so we are 8 health, but man, getting top 5 here, honestly not so bad. I'm pretty sure if there are 3 attack damage players in this game, which there normally are in each game, we probably would have went like top 2 or something like that, because we'd be able to play the 4 defender. We had like so many copies of Poppy. I don't know if you guys noticed that early on. So we would have had Poppy 3, Wukong 3, pretty much like all, maybe even a Rel 3, you know, and then they would just not be able to do any damage to us. But we're trying to put in as many Aegis as possible. We do get the RFC for our Leona, so maybe she can cheese some stuff. The guy in 4th place just got an Urgot 2. That's probably better than the Echo 1 that I just put in. We're going to go into this next fight a little worried. We do have this Aesol 2 in the back. Maybe we should have gotten like an item for Aesol. I'm not really too sure at this point. But also I should have positioned my Leona, because Leona is just not positioned right now. She's just hitting random stuff. But who are we facing? We're facing the Talon reroll guy. Honestly, we were beating the Talon reroll for most of the game. So I think we do end up beating him now too. And this other guy dies. And that just means we get a top 4 from this build. 6 Mecha Prime, 2 threats, 2 defender, 2 Aegis, 1 ace. I guess that's enough to win some days, you know? Holy cow, what a journey. And we almost beat that guy. So it was even like there was a chance for a top 3, you know? But one thing we haven't done in this video yet is go into some of the in-game audio. So let's do that right now. Oh my goodness. Literally 7 AP players when I take a defender augment. What are the chances? Someone tell me that. Like, when Samira is the best comp in the game right now, we have 7 AP players. Like, it's just funny at that point, right? I'm not even angry. I'm like literally like laughing in my head. You just can't hear it. So we started the day off with the 6 and a 4th. Not the best start, especially since we need a 4.16. At this point, we're averaging a 5.0. So we need a 3.75 in order to make it through. We get a bunch of talents here. We also get the rod start again. We get chain and belt from the items. And then here's where things get interesting. Dynamic defenses is takeable. Get paid. It does give us a Gangplank 2, I believe, but I'm not really a fan of get paid right now. I feel like you need a lot of upgrades on your board to make it work. Dynamic defenses probably was takeable. We'd have 2 Blitzcranks, and I would have preferred to get a Blitzcrank 2 out of it, though. So I feel like I could fish for something better. I'm doing the scouting. I'm trying to actually scout this time, but we're going to be re-rolling, try to get something broken. And then this one, I guess you could take Foster Growth if you want, but here it is for sure bigger, better Buckler. Also, maybe it was fish for Edgelord, but this Poppy augment is not fair. I know we only had 1 copy of Poppy on our bench, but because this augment is just that strong, you don't need like that many copies to make it work, unlike the Wukong build. We could build the Sunfire Cape here. I do greed out for the Bramble Vest, but probably slamming the Sunfire Cape here is fine also. If you want to play for like win streak, you could just Sunfire and then just like not even reroll this, and I probably should have done that this game. We win the first 3 rounds. It's like impossible to not win streak with this. So yeah, probably just level up. We get either a bow or a tier here. I guess it's a bow. And I guess you could slam Titan's Resolve or something. I really wanted like a Poppy item, but we don't end up getting that. The fact that we slam no items when we're on a 3 streak is almost criminal. I definitely should not be doing that, because I should just give up on the Poppy reroll here, slam the Sunfire, level up, and just play more units just to guarantee streaking into the neutral round. Because like we literally lost to a guy with Kai'Sa Static Shiv with like 2 2-stars. Like his board isn't anything that crazy. It is like decently strong though. You can't just not build anything and beat that. At least we have 2 Poppy 2s at 2-7, which is incredibly good. We do also get the Bramble Vest. I guess it kind of works out, but like the fact that we don't have any other copies of other units is really bad. Whenever you play Poppy, you need like a secondary carry. You either play like 4 defenders with like Wukong reroll, Rel reroll, or you play the Gadgettine version with Lulu. Lulu's probably the best version, but someone else was going for it this game, so I wasn't able to find that many copies of her. I also want to roll down until I hit Poppy here, because we started off this roll down at 50 gold, level 4, with 6 Poppies. We hit the 7th there, but as we're rolling down, we see a little more, but we're 1 off, so we don't get the spike in time. A little unfortunate. Probably should have rolled to 10 if I was faster, but these items are a complete tragedy. Maybe I should have built the Jeweled Gauntlet on the Poppy. It's actually not bad, but the fact that we don't get like any slammable defensive item with like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 components, that's a bit of a tragedy, you know? I'm feeling a little sad there, but I guess it happens. We win the round anyways because this comp is broken. What is this guy? He has a Lee Sin augment. Doesn't really matter. We do end up eventually killing this guy, and that is a clean 4-0. Onto the augments now. We get the option of featherweights again. Honestly, all 3 of these options are very good. Electrocharge, great whenever you have a tank. Battle Mage, I mean, we have Frontline Poppy. They're all pretty good. I really don't think there's any like best option here. Just take whatever. We end up getting Battle Mage, and then we're second pick on Carousel. I opt to go for a Chain Vest here. I probably should have went maybe for, I think the belt. I'm not really 100% sure. Maybe even the Negatron Cloak, because Dragon Claw is really good on Poppy. I slammed the Morello on the Zoe before, which I think is actually a mistake, because it's really not like that great of a secondary carry. I'd rather just run an Asol. Not gonna lie, this game was played pretty horribly, and I think we do end up getting punished for that, even though we hit the Poppy really early. We don't have any secondary carries. Like, yeah, we did get unlucky with the items, but slamming that Morello, I think, was like the biggest mistake I made, because we could have easily just like leveled up from here, played normal, and we just have like a Poppy 3-star. If you're playing other comps, just pretend it's like better than a 2-star 4 cost. So if Sejuani is normally your main tank, you have like something even better than that. If Echo 2 is normally your main tank, you could just play as if you have something even better than that. That's essentially what the Poppy 3 means. But we get baited here. I end up taking Gadgettine Soul with this because I was like, oh, let me just play Gadgettines. I just forgot that I needed 3-star Lulu in order to make this work, and it's a little too late to roll for her. Honestly, even going for Windfall and then like leveling up to level 8, rolling for just some threat units probably would have been a better play here. But I'd probably just reroll the augment in hindsight. Because look at this, like only Poppy's doing damage. It's like none of the other dudes are like doing all that much. Just look at the charts on the right. Like we have 3 items on our Lulu and she's just not doing anything. Essentially, any 4-cost 2-star literally could be anything. It could be MF, it could be Samira, it could be the threat units. They would just do a lot better. Like even a Talia in this situation would do better. But instead I commit to the Gadgettines like a dum-dum, and because of that, like what am I actually going to end up running? Like, it can't be 5 Gadgeteen because I'm running too many bad units. But I guess I could drop down to 3 Gadgeteen. But at that point, why take the Prismatic, you know, because it's not that great to have. On this carousel, we want to finish off the chain item on our Poppy. It could be like a Protector's Vow, it could be a Sunfire, or like a Stone Plate is fine, I guess. We do end up winning the next 2 rounds, but you guys will see in just a minute, like, we kind of get outscaled this game. We don't really hit any of the good legendaries despite being, like, leveled up properly, I would say. But what do we get on this last item here? I guess it could be like a Giant Slayer. It could be like a Rage Blade. I could go into like Samira or something. But we end up going for the Giant Slayer, which just like, look, it's just such an awkward comp we have right now. I do decide to level up. Maybe we could play this Talia or something like that. And then I do try to roll. There's Echo. I'm a little slow on this. I took too long thinking about the item. And then we just don't end up putting anything in, which is obviously not what you want to do. We face off against a Yuumi. Oh my god, he hit so many things. He has Gangplank 3, Rel 3, Yuumi 3. I guess he's a little far from Nyla 3, but this comp kind of counters me because he's like magic damage, where in armor comp, or we're running 4 defenders, so we do get knocked out there. We're probably never beating that guy. He's also Flaming Ricochet, but I think you guys can already see that this comp is starting to fall off, unless we hit some legendary unit or maybe this Talia. Honestly, is Talia even going to save us? I don't really know, but yeah, we should sell this Lulu and honestly just pray at this point. I'm actually wondering, is Talia even good? Because we don't really have Star Guardian. I guess with Echo plus someone else, we could have it. Like, we do have the Rel on our bench, so I guess we could have done like a 3 Star Guardian with Rel. I'm surprised I'm not picking up MF and Bel'Veth, though. For some reason, like, they just dodged my eye this game, I guess. And oh my god, this guy's got 9 laser core already. Well, yeah, there's another thing. Like, this lobby, even though we high rolled, everyone else kind of high rolled too. Like, this guy's got 9 lasers on 5-2. That's actually nuts, you know? So we end up just like dying out a little slowly. For example, here's the last guy we faced. He has Mord 2. I don't even know what his comp is, but he's just got like 2-star legendaries. And there's just not that much that our team is doing about it. We do have this Fiddle with like pretty good items and whatnot, but I think it's a little, too late. And we kind of just die out here, which I guess is okay for a 6 because a lot of people were kind of high rolling, but maybe we should have just played normal Poppy instead of reroll Poppy this game. Game number 3 starts out with a tier start, and at this point, because we went 6th, 4th, then 6th, we need to average a 2.66 in the last 3 games in order to make it through. So obviously, like, you need to maybe change your playstyle a little bit in a tournament. But I'd say in the 3rd game, you pretty much still play normal TFT. We end up making early interest here, which is really good. And then we have a pretty good setup for like a Rel Nyla type of carry game. So I guess we get a run it back 1-1-1 augment for the 4th time in a row. Soul Eater's really good. Kingslayer's also good, but we don't have Anima Squad units. Don't have any Renekton's, can't take that. None of these are useful either. We just don't have the units for them, so we re-roll again. Again, we are on our last like roll, and then we finally get something usable. Get Paid could be good because we are running Gangplank in our comp, but I think it's just a run it back, bigger, better buckler. We do have the 2 Rels, so we could do like a reroll there, and then I should have scouted here. I did not, but we just end up taking the Poppy, so it's just a run it back game. Our items are bow and tier, so we're probably going to do some sort of blue buff build. Hopefully this game, we were trying to go for the regular Gadgeteen reroll build. We were not able to do it last game because, like, I mean, sometimes they just don't show up in your shop. But we kind of should have recognized that last game. So on this carousel, do we go for a Poppy item or do we finish off the Lulu item? I think we finish off the Lulu item because blue buff is just so important to this build. But we start off the game 0-3, complete opposite of last time. We do end up getting the tier, and then we win the last 2 rounds, which is pretty good because even if you lose the first 3 games, if you end up winning the last 2, it ends up being like pretty decent. Obviously, you rather have full lose or full win streak, but we're not able to choose that in this life. I mean, I want a lot of things in life too, but I have to live with the cards I'm dealt, I guess. We get a tier, chain, and Negatron off the Krugs. And then now we have to decide whether we want to roll or not. I think we should roll down to 30. I don't know why I'm taking so long putting the items first. Also, you should just never put the items first. You should always roll first. So I wasted maybe like 20 seconds doing this when I really should have just been rolling. And also Shiv here is probably fine. Probably could just build that. But I'm doing the rolling now. It's a little late because realistically, I know the rolls were bad. We rolled 5 times, didn't hit anything. But we probably should just roll to 30 again because we are playing like Lulu Poppy reroll. So we're going for 2 different things. We're also going for Wukong. So I guess we're going for 3 things. So there's a very high chance to hit a lot of the units. You typically only want to slow roll if you're only going for 1 unit. But yeah, I recognize that now. So I'm trying to roll down as fast as I can. Don't end up hitting. And then we just stay at around 40. On the augments, do we run it back? Yes, we can. That's what some people say, right? So we get the Gadgeteen thing. It's a little different this game because we have like a lot more gold to roll with. Last game, we end up power leveling because we had a lot of copies of Poppy. So because we finished our Poppy so quickly, it disincentivized us to go for the Lulu. However, this game, we are further away from Poppy, so we are a little more incentivized to roll until we hit her, right? So that way we could hit both the Poppy 3 and the Lulu 3. But another line you could have taken was just screw the reroll and just go for like a different augment, just level up and play as if Poppy is like a 2-star Nyla or something like that, you know? Like with the augment, this Poppy is still pretty strong at 2-star. We end up winning all those rounds. What do we get here? We get a sword, some gold, and a glove. So honestly, not the best items. We also finished Dragon Claw off the carousel, so our Poppy items are looking pretty spicy right now. We have a chain and the D-Claw. Unfortunately, the unthinkable happens, and let's go into the in-game audio. With this 10 gold, he hits. We rolled like 20 on the thing. Like, what the fuck? That's so lucky. Like, that's literally just luck, right? And he hits his lucks anyways. Why not? Why not? Why not? Like, holy shit. It's so fucking lucky, this guy. It's actually just luck. Like, on neutrals, I rolled the same amount of gold as him. Like, he rolled max like 20. So before we digest what happens, let's do the augment first. Exile's honestly not bad. We're already set up in an exile positioning. Anyway, Celestial is really good in the late game though. So it's a toss-up between the two. You could, I guess, re-roll this if you want like some sort of emblem. Even like a cybernetic could be possibly good. I don't know if we're set up for it. But yeah, if you take the Exiles, Celestial Blessing, or Reroll, I guess they're all like kind of equal. Like Celestial Blessing and Exiles are both like above average, don't get me wrong. But if I'm trying to average a 2 point whatever, sometimes it might be worth it to reroll. I go for components also, like maybe Second Wind is better to really activate our Poppy a bit more because healing on her is really good. Luckily, we actually get good items this time. So we took component grab bag, I think like 3 times so far, and we got completely screwed over 2 of the times. This time we finally got good items. We also TG the Annie, that's completely perfect for her. But yeah, back to the Lux thing. That person, can you play Poppy in Lux reroll? You can, but generally you do other things. And it's just like he just happens to hit it. And that's just really, really, really unfortunate for us because we weren't thinking that they were going to contest us, but they just somehow do. Like maybe if I'm running Poppy reroll, I should just pick up his Luxes, you know, just like for fun and just screw him over. But like this game's looking like you could still hit Poppy 3 and we're 80 life, so we're still in a good shape, but it's just really, really annoying that that happens. And like I have PTSD from the day before. You guys remember the Jinx game that we went over? That's probably what tilted me over the edge completely. But we get a lot of Poppies here. We rolled down. I'd end up not going for the Wukong because we're going for all the Gadgeteen stuff instead, and I'd rather have Rel for 2 Defender because Rel can do some Star Guardian stuff later on. But we need to roll down. We're close to this Lulu. Hopefully if we can hit Lulu, then it's all fine and dandy. I should have sold the Zoes to buy the extra Rel, but we finally hit the Poppy. Shojin on the Lulu and then Shroud. Let's see who we want to hit. The right side, I guess. Oh, we couldn't put it on Annie because she has TG, so a little awkward there. But what items do we want on this last one? Honestly, you don't need to finish the 3rd Poppy item because you get Gadgeteen items for her in like most cases. So we could build like a Sword Giant Slayer. Maybe we go for like even a Guard Breaker can possibly be done on some people. But probably like 3rd Lulu item wouldn't be so bad. Like honestly, any item works now that I look back at it. But we easily win this round because there's actually attack damage people in this game. So we end up going for, I guess we go for a bow here, get the Giant Slayer. And I should have rolled this round right after because we're about to hit level 6 naturally. And we're 1 off Lulu, so I should have just rolled down to hit it for the power spike. But it's okay, it's a minor mistake. Actually a medium mistake. But whenever you have this augment, you have to watch out whenever you're against attack damage comps, because you should want to face them because you have armor and they deal physical damage. However, a lot of them have Last Whisper. So what you do against that is make sure your Poppy is not hit by the Last Whisper and let other people hit it first. Okay, also that Lux guy is also buying Lulus. Like, I have no idea why this person is doing that, but it's just really, really frustrating. I mean, they're in 8th place right now with single-digit health, so it's like, I guess it's fine, but like, is it because they took my units and they weren't playing like the optimal board or whatever? Or is it like actually the correct play just to take those units and they got unlucky in other ways or something like that? Honestly, I don't really know, but it's more of a case of like a why me, you know, because I felt very targeted in a lot of these games. But let's go on into the last round of stage 4. Our board's like still fine, right? We get good items from Gadgeteen, like in most cases. This is probably like one of the worst outcomes, RFC plus a Bloodthirster, but even then it's still usable because Poppy like can heal a little bit from the BT. Obviously the RFC kind of sucks, but our Lulu's full item anyway, so who are we even wanting items on, right? We're literally just waiting for Nunu to put items on him, but it's hard to get Nunu when you are level 5. It's actually impossible to. It's also impossible at level 6, so probably not happening this game. Also, this guy's got like the capped like gangplank board already. He's got like so many 3 stars with the super, so we get destroyed here, which kind of sucks. All right, so we're at 72 live, no win streak into neutrals. I guess it's not the end of the world though. On this last item option, I think we go for a Morello because that could be good on Nunu. Redemption would also be really nice on Poppy. Honestly, a lot of different things you could go for here. I think we end up going for the Morello because we do have like almost a Zoe 3. So I guess we could drop like the Shojin on her and the secondary damage items from the Gadgeteen. We are going to roll a bit though. I do want this Lulu. We're also looking for Zoe. Maybe I should have just sold the Lulu and put the items on Zoe. That's probably what I should have done here, actually, instead of fishing for the Lulu. So that's another big mistake there. I know we're 1 off each, so it might seem like it's unlucky or whatever. But I think because we're going for Zoe, we just level up, sell the Lulu, blue buff Morello her with the Giant Slayer, and then keep the Shiv on Lulu or something like that. That probably would have done a lot better than what we did. So mistake there, but it is what it is. Like, no one ever plays perfectly, right? We do end up winning that round. Pretty nice stuff. And does this guy... Oh, the guy griefing us goes 8th. So he literally just griefed us for no reason. Like, very fun stuff there. We finally get the Lulu. And, all right, we're back in business, I guess, kind of. I do make a minor mistake. I should have completed the Lulu on my bench because there's a bug right now with items popping off whenever you complete them. I don't know if it works for 3-star, but it definitely works for 2-star. But if it did work for 3-star, I have no idea. Like, I could have popped off the static Shiv off of her, put that onto the Zoe, or like blue buff the Zoe because she has a Morello, right? Actually, no. Blue buff on the Lulu's better. But pop off the Shiv, triple damage item her, and that would probably be better. So you could have one person hold the utility, Morello plus the Shiv, and then one person with like full damage. Next round, we do end up hitting the Zoe 3, so that's pretty good. And with 72 life at stage 5-3, the second place is at, I think that's 27. I can't really see because on the editing software, the numbers are a little smaller or the screen's a little smaller. Like, that is the place you want to be in, you know? Like, this is pretty much guaranteed top 3, possibly like very likely top 2 and very likely top 1. We face off against an armor damage dealing unit, so we win that one pretty obviously. They're at 7 live. Everyone's taking each other out right now, which is really nice. Fast forwarding a bit, we get an Ornn item selection. I think we take the Manazane, we drop it on our Zoe. Maybe it's Death Defiance Poppy, I don't really know, but I'm pretty sure you want to itemize the 3-star Zoe. Like, there's no reason not to, right? We are still missing Nunu. Look at these Gadgeteen items, like perfect for Nunu, right? But we'll put them on Rel and Poppy for now. We're already in a 1v1 scenario against this guy. We have 72 HP, he has 20 HP. So unfortunately, the unthinkable happens. So he's playing AP, right? So what's the best Gadgeteen item against that? For me, I think it's the Shroud of Stillness because his Syndra ends up pulling in the Zac 2 on his bench. And Zac is really good against our comp because we have a lot of single target. Like, Lulu is single target. Zoe isn't really like dealing that much damage. I guess she's like almost the same as a Lulu. But we do end up winning this round. However, both of them are not good at dealing with Zac Blobs or Syndra additional units. So my theory is if we do get a Shroud, also he has Syndra 2 now, we slow down the Syndra by a lot for pulling in those extra units, and that's probably what would win us this game. Unfortunately, we faced this guy 6 times, and keep in mind, you get 2 Gadgeteen items per round. We did not get Shroud of Stillness once in any of those 6 fights. I don't even know what the chances are of that. Someone can do the math if they want. I'd be very curious to know. But literally from stage 6-1 to 7-1, we faced him 6 times. We only won 1 round, and we never rolled Shroud once. So I don't know if there's something I could have done positioning-wise. This game, we messed up because we got hit by his Leona, but I can promise you in all the other fights, we did not get hit by his Leona. I think it was just a Zac from his bench that destroyed us. But yeah, this game, obviously we lost because of the Leona, right? I'm not going to debate that at all. But you just have to trust me. You could watch the VOD if you want. In the other fights, like, he never had like a Leona hit my Poppy. And like, I'm pretty sure it's just a Shroud diff. Like, it's really unfortunate. But we get a second, still good. It honestly is hard to win with the Poppy comp. It's mainly really good for getting like top 4s and second places. Going into the last 2 matches, we needed to average 3.0 in both these games, and then we make it. So getting the second, obviously really clutch. And this game ended up being one of the funnier games, and you'll see in just a moment because, yeah, I don't think I played a game like this ever before either. The good news is that we finally get to actually play TFT because it's no longer 1-1-1 reroll augment. Instead, we get Brawler Crest, Cluttered Mind, and Electrocharge. So Cluttered Mind is really good right now. You get 4 tier 1 units, which is just so powerful. You either get a bunch of 2 stars or you just get a full bench for Cluttered Mind. And we have like 5 Narcissus, so it's just really funny. We also have Double Rod Glove, but it's looking like we're finally on our comfort comp with the 2 rods. We could go for Anima Squad or maybe a Viego build here. So I'm not going to build items quite yet because I don't really have a good item holder. We face off against a metabolic person, which losing against them isn't so bad because like they're kind of not making use of their augment. We're just trying to econ up, get to level 8 as fast as possible, and do like a big roll down. He also has a Zoe. No one's beating Zoe in the early... Zoe Rammus. Like, no one's beating that, you know? But this shop here makes the game really funny. We get 7 copies of Nasus. And keep in mind, with Clear Mind, like, it's hard to... It's hard to reroll 1-cost units because you level up so quickly. But oddly enough, we don't have enough room on our bench here. Probably a mistake to do that. But I'm pretty sure if you're forcing Anima Squad, having like a random Nasus 3 is actually like pretty decent because he could hold a lot of random items or just be like super tanky, especially if you get him for free like we are here. I guess it's not for free. We lost 3 experience, so we technically lost around 3 gold right now. The hilarious part is that the extra Narcissus on our bench actually are doing pretty good jobs because I still need them or need stuff on my bench anyways, and it might as well be something I could possibly hit later on in order to get like both the Cluttered Mind value and maybe some board strength because, yeah, it ends up kind of being a little goofy in that sense. I don't know. Sometimes you just get a lot of copies of 1-cost units, but we end up doing a lose-win-lose. Not ideal. Let's pick up like some sort of rod item here. There's only one option, Hextech Gunblade, so we'll just pick that up and call it a day. Probably would have preferred the Ionic Spark. I take out my Vayne for the Jinx. Maybe I should have kept the Vayne in though and just Hextech Gunbladed the Vayne. We end up doing like a win-lose type of situation, but we do get an Ionic Spark, we get a Negatron and a Bow, and then we also have those orbs right there. We'll pick that up in the next round though. We get another Nasus here, and yeah, this is why I think it's so funny. We're just literally reroll Nasus. It definitely does mess with our leveling tempo a little bit because we probably should be higher level at this point. But really, I'm just trying to go for like getting to level 8 as fast as possible because in a Anima Squad build, the only thing that actually matters is getting MF2 or not getting MF2 or getting Riven 3 and not getting Riven 3. So I guess it is what it is in that aspect. We take a big loss here, not very good. But we do get blessed with a 3-3-3 augment. So this is really good for Anima, probably one of the best users because you could use both the Vayne and the Riven augments really well. So Spread Shot or Reverb, incredible stuff. Triumphant Return's pretty good too. Edge into the Night also good. So honestly, like there's just too many good options. But reverb, I think, is the best one. I think it's better than spread shot, but in this specific situation, maybe spread shot is better because we have 2 vanes. So we could have just taken the 2 vanes, get a vane 2, drop her in, put the Hextech Gunblade on her, and just like giga chill for like a really long time. Instead, I go for the Riven, and it makes a turn a little more awkward. So I think that's definitely a mistake. Should have just gotten the vane 2. So we end up leveling up and rolling here, which is a really weird thing to do when you're playing Cluttered Mind. However, I have Vane pair, I get like, I want Riven 2, and I'm missing 1 off of Nasus, so I feel like if we hit, it was actually well worth the rolls. Essentially what I'm trying to say is that I should have just taken the Vane augment so I don't have to roll, but after taking the Riven one, I think it is fine to roll because we were 1 off so many important things. Because they're not just getting like, if I was going for like a Silas 2 upgrade and counting that as a pair, that's not that important. But the 3 things I was looking for is Vane 2, which is a huge upgrade, Riven 2, huge upgrade, Jinx 2, I forgot to mention Jinx 2, huge upgrade in this comp, or Nasus 3. So when you're 1 off like 4 different things that are super high priority, it's obvious that you should just roll down. We end up getting the Jinx eventually, but we should have rolled down to 10 last turn for all these guys. We have a bow glove, so we want to finish off the TG for our Nasus. He's one of the best holders of that item. He's one of the few units in the game that can make use of attack damage, ability power, and tank items. Another good user is Jinx, so that's why Thieves and Anima is not that bad compared to other comps, because Jinx can kind of tank in the front with the Prankster. She can use the attack damage because she like can hold both AD and AP items. Obviously, I think AP is better, but I guess she even has the added bonus of making use of mana items. Nasus can still do it, but obviously not as well as Jinx. As you guys can see though, our bench is getting a little crowded. Also, you don't get clear mind value off of the neutral rounds, so always keep that in mind. We get up to 40 gold, pretty big there. We did miss out on some units potentially, but I think it is time to level up and roll. It's only 12 to level up, so just do it now. Do we get the Jinx? Great. We're really going for Riven 3. Vane 3, we don't have any items for. I guess we do. We could have built QSS Giant Slayer or like Runon's IE on her right now. So maybe we should have bought all these Vanes instead of selling them. Especially since I could just sell the Nyla and Kaisa on the left-hand side. There's no reason to sell that other Vane. But I think I was just trying to do a speed run. And then with the Urgot, Runon's pretty good. But potentially I probably should have gone maybe QSS Giant Slayer, or maybe even like a Last Whisper BT on him, for example. But I'm a little greedy. I'm saving items for, what's her name, for Misfortune, because that's where I think the main power from Anima Squad comes from. I don't really think it comes from running the random other units. The dumb part is, though, is when you have Reverberation, you're actually building around Riven, but we don't have any Riven items apart from an Ionic Spark. We want real tank items on her, though. So we probably should have taken second wind here. Instead, I go for a Jeweled Lotus. Jeweled Lotus is really good in the late game, so whenever you're on stage 4, Jeweled Lotus becomes like much more powerful. Not as good on stage 2 because you can't really use it that well, but in the late game, it's just one of the best augments. Same with Celestial Blessing because they scale off of other stuff so well. And since I have a bunch of like damage dealers, I guess I could take JG. The thing is, Urgot doesn't really make use of Jeweled Lotus, so he's probably like the worst user of this, so maybe it's a mistake. I think I should have taken second win now that I think about it. Especially since we're going to get like a Nasus 3 also. Also, we're contested this game. This guy also went Reverberation. A little unfortunate. He also hit the MF, but it is what it is. Like, we're pretty close on like a lot of other stuff, so we should be able to hit those things. Like, maybe we just run a Jinx 3 instead of MF without Augment. Like, what's the worst that can happen, you know? Like, if you don't hit MF, like, what can you do? You can't, like, force yourself to hit. Like, there's only so much you can do. I don't know what it's called, but in, like, sports psychology, like, they train basketball players to, like, dream about, like, shooting a basket into the hoop, and it'll apparently make their shooting percentage better or whatever. And, like, dream of, like, in-game scenarios that, like, help you do that. In TFT, you can't, like, just dream that you have like, MF in your shop or something like that. That won't increase your chances of getting MF. So it's like, I don't know if that whole sports psychology thing is just a bunch of BS. I wish I remembered the exact term for it, but it's some sort of like visualization technique. But I don't know. It sounds like a bunch of bull crap to me, but you know, like, I guess they're paid to do that stuff. Like, if the Lakers are paying for someone to like train their players, like, I guess there is some validity to it because I doubt they're that stupid. I actually think it's very rare when a lot of professional sports teams do something that they'd be incorrect about it. Here's my reason why. And obviously they still do get some things wrong, but I feel like sports and financial markets and betting markets are one of the few places where it's like a true meritocracy. And because of that, the decisions that they make are just always going to be their best belief of what will help them accomplish their goal, whether it be like making money, winning championships, things like that. So I think in those like three arenas that I laid out, that's like the one time where like most of the things people do are going to be like objectively correct for their specific goal. Like they're just out there trying to win or make money. They don't care about like any of those like feel good type of emotional things that people seem to care about nowadays. So that's why whenever like a sports team is doing something or someone in the financial markets is doing something specific, you kind of do want to like pay attention to it. I'll give you one example. So for predicting like presidential elections or any like political election, people normally use polls to figure out who will win, right? By the way, here, it's a little unlucky that we don't get the spatula for our MF or for our Anima squad, but we do end up going like double Shojin MF. I think this is a very underrated item build for MF specifically. Also, isn't it crazy how we started the game with like 8 Nasuses, but we didn't end up hitting it? And we're probably going to hit this Riven 3 first during this roll down. But essentially, like, there's some study by some statisticians that, you know how polls are used for like presidential elections or any election prediction model or whatever you want to call it? People have found that betting markets are more effective than all those polls. And again, it's because when people are betting, their money is where their mouth is, like literally. So they're going to do everything in their power to get it correct. Whereas the polling things, they're just there because like they took a poll of something, right? Like obviously there's some method to the madness of polling where they still try to be correct, right? But because there's no money involved, it's going to be less intensive than people who are actually putting money on the line or having like skin in the game is what some people call it. But yeah, normally whenever I hear about these like visualization techniques, I normally think they're BS. Like my BS meter goes off the roof, you know? But if a sports team's doing it, then there might be some validity to it. I just don't think it's applicable to TFT because you can't dream of like improving your shop odds, you know? Like it's just impossible because it's like a robot doing it. You're not like physically affecting it or whatever. But overall, interesting topic. Let's get back to the game though. This other person also took Reverberation. Luckily, we've been hitting a lot of the Rivens, so we just have like a very distinct advantage over him. We are at 27 life though. We're still MF1, which is really bad. He's MF2, he's ASIL 2. But Urgot has been doing a little bit of work for us. We end up losing this round, so pretty dangerous spot. But once we hit either Riven 3 or MF2, that's when this comp really comes online. And we kind of do that right here. Do you guys want to hear some in-game audio? This is when you want to roll to like absolute 0. We don't really care about clear bench anymore, but here it is. All right, we're actually in this fucking game now. No tank items on our most important character, but you know what? It's okay. We're actually decently chilling. Uh-oh. Please don't punish me. That's an Anima squad stacking diff right there. Holy cow. We got out positioned, but it doesn't matter. Oh my god, we're actually in this fucking game. This is like... This is good. This is really good. So on this carousel, we just need a tank item for our Riven. We're actually not out of the woods yet because like, you take Reverberation because you want to stack a 3-star Riven. We have a 3-star Riven, but she has not a real tank item. Titans is normally good on her, but only if you have other complementary tanking items. Don't get me wrong, Ionic Spark is really good in the comp, especially with MF, but it's only good if you have it in conjunction with other things. So either you have a 2-item Riven with like Ionic with like a real tank item, or you have 3 bruiser, pseudo tank, or utility tank items on her, and you'll be fine there too. After hitting this redemption off the item armory, we're in a pretty good spot. We have to decide whether we want to go to level 9 or roll on level 8. We don't really have anything to look for on level 8, so it's really just a level 9 angle. We are in top 4 range right now, and after this round, we do end up getting an item from the Urgot, so we get to build, I guess a Last Whisper doesn't really do that much, but we could put it on Urgot. And then we are able to hit level 9, just put a random unit in. I think we put in this Rammus just for a threat, you know, who cares? Maybe the Lee Sin could have been better though for Brawler now that I look back at it. Yeah, why did I not put in Brawler? That's kind of boosted. At least we get Defender. That's pretty good. Actually, it's a top 3 now. At the end of the game, you always want to be positioning, so that's what I'm trying to do. And then I do this God MF swap here, dodging Zed, dodging also the Sejuani. So it is a little risky, don't get me wrong, but it ends up paying out here. And then the Zed gets stuck on a Prankster when I have 3 Prankster. Unfortunately, his Edge of Night activated, so he didn't actually get stunned, but the fight's pretty much over after that. Honestly, I think even if my MF did get sniped or something, we probably still could have won this round because I don't think that Laser Core person capped out that hard yet. This next round, we're facing the other Anima player, and we're just clearly stronger than them, right? I mean, we have to be. We have the same augment, but we have Riven 3 items. I guess he has an Urgot 2, Acel 2, Sejuani 2. He's not like weak per se, but if I had to put money on the game, I would probably put it on myself. I guess he also has Fiddle 2. I didn't even realize that, but like Riven 3 with this augment, you guys don't understand. Well, you do understand. You're watching this right now. It's just so completely strong. Also, he faces Ghost, so I guess that makes it easier too. On this item thing, we are second pick. What do we even want here? I guess like Urgot item or just like Zephyr. Zephyr's probably the top pick, but obviously these guys are going to take that first. We could take secondary tank items for Echo. If the game was much earlier, maybe the hat for Urgot to farm items. Maybe even the Morello could have been good on Urgot. End up taking the Deathblade. Deathblade's very good on Urgot because he makes really good use of attack damage. We're facing the Anima squad player again, so that's a really good matchup for us. But honestly, we beat both these players. There's really not much else to say. We do have the Zeeks on our Nasus. I didn't even pay attention to the Nasus items, so probably we could have taken advantage of that. We get our Urgot Zephyr, which is a little annoying. I put my MF next to his MF, or like opposite his MF, so we couldn't get Shrouded or Zephyr, because you can't put a Zephyr on a full item unit. So we win this round, and then let's check out the other board. Actually, this one was kind of close, but I think we have Prankster up still, so it's close, but not really. But let's do in-game audio. Oh, more dog, thank you. We need a 6 now. Oh my god, contested Anima. Both of us went reverb too, so that's just fucking awesome. Dude, that's so close. Everyone was contested. Look, contested Yuumi, contested Anima, contested Laser. Like, they're both going Senna carry as well. They both had 6 Sennas. And then there's just this one random dude, uncontested, he got 7th. Honestly, shout out to some of the chatters, because in the first day, I gave up mentally on the last game. But there was one person who just said, he was a first-time chatter, he said, "It's okay, you got this, I believe in you." And then we just ended up winning. So, as I said in the in-game audio, we just needed a 6 to get 29 points here, so I did change up my playstyle a little bit in this game. Pretty much whatever doesn't go 8th or 7th is good enough for me. So this is definitely much better position than in the first day, but there's also no bonus points to chase after, so it's literally just all like house money that we're playing on right now. So out of these 3 options, I want to do a quick Defender Scout first. Honestly, I should have re-rolled this. I don't think Jeweled Lotus here is that good for going for top whatever, but I guess we have okay items. For some reason, I'm forcing AP. I should have just built the Gunblade and chilled, especially with the Jeweled Lotus, but instead we go for this Shojin. On stage 2-3, because I am just trying to play for not 8th, I do a quick level up there to get level 5, and that helps us win the first 3 rounds. And then here, I'm running straight for the Ionic Spark actually, because it's on 3 gold versus the 1 gold on the sword, but unfortunately the other person gets it before us. We get the option to swap our Lux into a Lulu, so I go ahead and do that because Lulu's just a much better item holder than Lux. We do 5 streak into the neutrals, and yeah, Lux is just the worst unit without the augment. But yeah, we're pretty giga chilling right here. Really not much I could ask for. We do a last minute level up to level 6 as well here, but this is actually a mistake. So I end up scouting the boards before I do this, and if this was a ladder game, I would not level up here. The reason why is because I beat everyone without leveling up, so you always have to pay attention. Like, don't always level up at level 6 on 3-1. Just because it's like you're win streaking. You always have to scout because sometimes you just beat everyone's board without leveling up, which is the case in this specific round. So that is a slight mistake, but again, since I'm just playing for like not 8th, maybe it's still fine to do in this specific situation. Augment round's a little interesting. I do want to go AP, but I feel like I should have just swapped into the Anima squad comp right now. Our options were this Jinx thing, Annie, and channeled Ferromancy. Even Ferromancy might be better because it gives us a Rel 2, so we could just use it to keep win streaking. So yeah, it's probably just Rel 2. I do make a mistake. I thought Annie was on my board and I had an Annie on bench. So honestly, I thought this would give me Annie 2 and it did not. So it's just Rel in this situation. We did end up winning 2 more rounds and then we lost on 3-3. So honestly, it worked out okay. We grabbed the belt here for Sunfire and we're chilling still. We are 82 health at Wolf Camp, and there's almost nothing that can stop us at this point. Maybe like complete garbage items can, but we get a rod, double rod actually, with a Jeweled Lotus already. So that's like pretty much best in slot. And here I'm really wishing we took the the other augment, but really unfortunate. If we went Anima, we would have just had the MF, but you can't predict the future, you know? But we do end up building the hat. Actually, no, we don't. Wait, I built a Gunblade on my Nunu. I guess that's fine. I'm not really using Sword for anything else. We already have Gunblade and Shojin, and we can't fit Giant Slayer in our build because we already have like the extra rod. So yeah, actually that makes sense to build the Gunblade on Nunu. So yeah, Nunu's actually doing a lot of work. I just got a random Nunu at 4-1, I think. And yeah, he is putting in a lot of work himself. Onto the augments, I actually think I make a mistake by taking this Prankster crest. I don't think Prankster is bad, but I think on 4-2, Prankster isn't that great. Prankster is better earlier in the game, I'm pretty sure, because you get the target dummy, but later on, I feel like I should have rerolled to get something better. Both Prankster and Phony Frontline kind of suffer from the same issue. So here's where things get a little interesting. One person decides to pause the game because they thought that a bug occurred on their board, and they said something like, their Zac disappeared when selling something on their board. But he checked the VOD, we all checked the VOD, and he just sold it by accident. So even if it was a bug, there's not really much people can do from this situation, I learned. But I was getting a little nervous because we pretty much had top 6 in the bag at this point. Luckily, did not affect our game. But yeah, it's clear as day in the VOD. He just sold it. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe he just didn't realize it. It's really funny. And I feel a little bad because he actually ended up barely making the tournament, so it actually could have mattered. So I guarantee you, if he didn't make the next day because of that mistake, he would have been giga tilted. I would be, you know? Because maybe he swears that, like, he didn't touch it, you know? So we get this rod here, we get hat, and this is a little weird. Remember how we were at 82 before? We're at 53 all of a sudden. So I level up to 8 now at 4-5 like a good boy, and we're just gonna roll down, try to hit, like, the Talia or a Soraka board, you know, because that's really what we're trying to get after this game. But unfortunately, like, we saw so many MFs and then we don't see any Talias or Soraka. I actually think that is a little unlucky because we rolled like 40 gold at level 8. Sometimes people get 2 stars of them at this point, but we have to settle for a Sona, which would be good at stage 4-1, but it's stage 4-5 right now. Normally, I think Sona's pretty stable, Sona 2 at the beginning of stage 4, but late stage 4, you'd rather have something else, right? Like, that's just me. Either you win the early game or the early rounds and then you lose the later ones. But in this case, I lost the early rounds and then we're going to lose the later ones as well because, like, the Sona is just not ideal, you know? Like, there's not too much else to say about that. But yeah, all of a sudden, this guaranteed top 4, it looked like before, is looking a little sketchy because we're in the middle of the pack now. We end up getting a random Acel too, so I'm just frontlining him with Prankster. We do end up winning this round, and was it because of the Acel Prankster? I have no idea. This guy does have Samira 2, Sedge 2, only Zac 1, but like, we don't even have like a legitimate 4 cost, right? I guess our Syndra's helping out a little bit, and the Nunu kind of, is it? I don't really know. I feel like a Samira 2 should have beat us though. But somehow we beat him and we knock him out. It was really risky because if we don't knock him out, maybe he spikes after stage 5-1. And that potentially could cost us like qualifying for the tournament. But luckily, knock him out here, and we are 1 step closer. We just need 1 person knocked out. We get some defensive items. I probably should have gotten Zizirot here over the Warmogs because we don't have any 2-star tanks. So whenever you don't have 2-star tanks, just build a Zizirot. We finally get a Talia, but it's a little too late. We need Talia 2 at this point. I sell my Acel, probably a mistake also. And we're just rolling. We finally hit Annie 2, I guess, but this team is not it. I put Prankster emblem on my Nunu. I Sunfire my Echo, praying that I'll hit him 2-star. But who am I even facing here? I'm facing a Soraka 2 player with like very similar augments as us. And I guess he's 4 admin, so it is a little different. I wonder what his admin is. It probably is a really good AP one. If not, you just wouldn't go for the comp at all. And we get completely smashed here. We take like a 3-unit loss. I guess that's not completely smashed, but it's still not good is the point that I'm trying to make. So yeah, we are going to be at 29 health, but luckily 7th place is in 7 and 6 is in 12 health. We're going to do like 1 or 2 roll downs. Like, I don't even know what we can hit. We don't even have, even if 2 Talia showed up in our shop, we'd have to sell something to get it. I don't even know at this point. We put in 4 Spellslinger. I don't even know if this is better either. We get completely rolled by this super player. Like, he's got Yumi 3, like, Rel 3. There are too many shiny things on my screen right now, but like, he is really strong. And I think I got baited by the Nunu pretty hard this game. And also, I just shouldn't force AP. Just don't force AP right now. It was like a comfort line, but it's really just not worth it. But thankfully, the 7th place guy does end up losing. So then we get our guaranteed top 6 here. Obviously, I'm still going to try to get a 5th because 5th completely guarantees me getting in. With the 6, there's like a very, very small chance that I don't make it. Maybe like a 5%, 1% chance type of deal. But 5th guarantees it 100% I make it through. So obviously I'm still trying to get a 5th, but we just don't have the team for it, you know? We did eventually find the Talia, but this super guy is just way too capped out right now that we just end up taking a pretty sizable loss, and then we get to 1 health, and then we just lose out after that. Like, Talia's good if you get her for free, but if you don't, it's probably not worth going for. So after refreshing the score sheet for like what seems like 20-30 minutes, we finally get some live reactions. Hell yeah, guys, we made it. We actually made it. Oh my god, we barely make everything. All right, we gotta make this count next week. Holy sorry for cursing so much. It's just how I talk now, I guess. Like, oh my god. Not even close. Not even close. Oh, okay. I have to learn how to play this game now because these 1-cost rerolls are so frustrating. We had 4 1-cost reroll games. But yeah, apparently we made it, so we're going to play next week. So I'm going to practice hard this week, and hopefully I'll see you guys there. It's going to be on Saturday and Sunday, 4 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys on Friday for the meta snapshot, and then Saturday and Sunday for the tournament, which will be on my stream, twitch.tv/bunnymuffins, LOL.